can win with Digicel this Christmas. Nothing moves your vibe, your mood, or your appetite like the taste of grace.
Pepsi.
Fool! You just get what?
What you hungry, man?
You're the king of this. Like how what are the king of burgers?
Taste rules your way at Burger King. The best tasting burgers under the...
Day 5 of the greatest show on earth is now in the books, the FIFA World Cup from Qatar. And we are here on Final Whistle to give you the breakdown. I'm Jordan Fort, and I'm going to introduce you to my panelists. Let me start with a former reggae girl, assistant manager for the reggae girls at World Cup qualifying, the team to France in 2019, and Rhodes Scholar back in 2016, Sharona Forrester. That is Sharona on screen. She is the rose among the thorns here. Coach and technical director of Humble Lion, assistant coach of the Reggae Girls World Cup qualifying team to France in 2019, and the Calabar High School head coach Andrew Price is also with us. That's Coach Price, technical director at Campion College. Eric Rademacher, he's also the assistant coach at Arnett Gardens FC in the Jamaica Premier League, and a former national team captain of the reggae boys, Shavar Thomas, outstanding as a junior reggae boy as well, and he's also the assistant coach of FC Cincinnati 2. Hope I'm getting it right, Shavar. We're also joined on Zoom by former assistant coach of the reggae boys and former head coach of many-time Issa Manning Cup champions, Jamaica College, and his name is Miguel Coley. He's also a former player of Waterhouse FC. There's Coach Coley. He's in Qatar. And junior analyst Liam Henriquez, the man with all the knowledge inside that very young brain of his, 16 years old. And he joins us as well. Gentlemen and lady, thank you very much for being here with us. We've seen some incredible action thus far throughout the World Cup. And indeed, today, we want to start off by analysing that game between Brazil and Serbia. Of course, we want to get you in the mix as well as our viewers, and we're going to have a question for you a little bit later on because, you know, we like to give you winnings. So I hope you've been following the World Cup because we're going to have a question for you, and you'll be very excited to be able to, I guess, hear your name called on national TV having won something. But let's start off with the game we just saw, Brazil versus Serbia. The Brazilians coming out on top in that one, getting their 2-0 convincing in the end for the Brazilians. Let me start with Coach Andrew Price. Richarlison for that second goal, getting an absolute worldie. But it was tough work for Brazil leading up to that opening goal. Coach Price, talk me through a little of the kinks that Brazil had to work through.
Well, that's the expectation, playing against Serbia, and, you know, the weight on the Brazilian players' shoulder. They had to break down the team. They played a very low line, and they were very sound defensively, kept a very good shape. And it was very difficult, especially in the first half, for Brazil to break them down. I think as the game proceeded, I think Brazil started to get more openings, and then Richarlison shows why he's the number 9 for the team right now by scoring 2 important goals. But I didn't think Brazil played particularly well today, but they did just enough to get the 3 points. And that's what you want to do for your first game in the tournament. And you hope as the competition progresses, you get better. But it was a workmanlike performance.
As a coach, Coach Rademacher, I know some coaches don't like to single out individual players, but there is no doubt that the spotlight was sharply on Neymar heading into this World Cup and in fact heading into this game. I think we saw in the first half him try to work out what Serbia were doing and try to find ways around them. But even though he won't get an assist, he was instrumental in that first goal for Brazil.
Yeah, I think, as you say, I think in the first half he was one of the players that actually was trying to put some livelihood and some activity in the game. But they weren't really able to break down and penetrate the Serbians. Yes, they had possession. Yes, they were able to do some things here and there, but in non-dangerous areas. as soon as they tried to penetrate in dangerous areas where Neymar was attempting that every now and then with dribbles or passes, it wouldn't really get anywhere. Second half now, I think his team stepped up a lot more, which kind of took the responsibility a little bit off of his shoulders, and they were able to go via the wing, via the middle, and create a lot more. As Price was saying, that you break down Serbia and more openings were getting there. But I think Neymar can be pleased with a win, with a decent performance, but I think he will tell himself he needs to do better to lead Brazil further this World Cup.
Yeah, let's continue to zone in on Neymar, Sharona. With the pressure coming into this World Cup, I guess, how would he adjust himself mentally? Of course, he's used to pressure, but, getting to this stage of his career now, a lot is expected of him, and especially with a slight disappointment from the Brazilian fans based on what happened at the last World Cup in Russia.
Well, he has to cement himself as one of the stars. He is a star, but he's looking at timeline. I'm 30. I may have 2 World Cups left, I want to put forward a good footing, so he will go and evaluate what happened today, but he will also take heart that, he has a team that will bolster and come around him and give him that support.
Coach Thomas, what would Chiche have seen in the first half, and what would he have said to his team at halftime to make the difference really in the second half, because they looked a completely different unit?
I mean, for me, it was what I saw first half and second half. If I'm the coach and if I'm Chiche, I would say continue to do these things, the simple things, consistently, because what happened, they break them down eventually in the second half. I mean, on the flip side of stuff, I think if Serbia had somebody that could have run in behind and get beyond the Brazilian defense line, it would have been a different game. But Brazil kept to what they've been doing. Simple, break them down, keep moving the ball consistently, and it happened for them in the second half.
It's a team, Coach Price, that pressure is always on anytime they get to a World Cup. Such is their illustrious history. They're the winningest team in World Cup history with 5 titles. Do you think that had any part to play in a sort of tentative start for the Brazilians?
Most definitely. I was just telling my co-host here today, I think that Brazil has the biggest weight of all teams in the World Cup. The pressure is on them more than any other team. I think as an individual, Messi probably has the biggest pressure, but as a team, I believe that Brazil has the biggest pressure to perform. And the expectation is very high. They wanted to do well, especially in their opening game. And knowing full well that Switzerland got all 3 points today, they needed to get 3 points. And I think that was a bit of a pressure. But like I said, they were patient, and I guess the coach at halftime told them to relax, settle down, just continue doing what we have been doing, and the team will slowly break down the Serbian defensive unit, and eventually it happened.
Yeah, I think this relieves some of the pressure. Coach Price, let me stay with you, because we were talking about this while we were off air, and the wealth that the Brazilian team has on the bench, and we saw the substitutions they made, all 5. Fred coming on, Rodrigo coming on, the Real Madrid man, of course, Gabriel Jesus at Arsenal, Anthony at Manchester United, Gabriel Martinelli from Arsenal as well. It seems like, and they could have made probably all 10 changes or 11 changes and still have not much of a drop in quality. Talk to me about that wealth in depth.
Well, that was definitely showing up today. I mean, in the second half, especially in the last 20 minutes when those changes were made, they didn't skip a beat. All the players came in and they looked well, they looked the part, and they were playing well, And when you have a team with that type of depth, it's good that you can bring on those players to actually change a game or continue in the motion that you had previously. So it's always good. Substitutes must come in and make an impact for the game, and I think all of them made an impact today.
Coach Coley, what did you see from this Brazil team? How would you rate their performance today, given the weight of expectations that would have been on them?
I think it was a good performance. The Brazilian know what the Serbian have. And if you see in the first half, you watch Rafinha, he comes back very deep, forming a back 5, because they know that Serbia is very dangerous on the court, especially to Mitrovic. So they tried another fight. Sanchez in some moments were too tight on the number 14, but they kept their shape. So in the second half, what Tite did was that Rafinha played a little bit higher. Also, you find Sanchez, he goes up a little bit, creating 2 versus 1 on the sides in the first half. A lot of time, Vinicius, he was 1 versus 3 with the back five of the Serbia, and they had, I think, more intent. They played more purpose. There were more orientation changes in the game. They tried to penetrate, and also you look at the striker. He was more tried to make runs behind, so it allowed Neymar a little bit more space, and that I think was the big difference between the first half and the second half. And you know, when you give Brazil space and when the space open up, they can be very dangerous. And it's was proven.
Indeed, they did prove that. Liam, I want to bring you in here on a player Coach Coley just mentioned, Rafinha, and especially you look at his performance today, I think more so in the first half, a little bit wasteful. He would be, I think, out of all the players from Brazil, the most disappointed. Would you agree with that? And would you look at, if you're Chiche, probably changing him, given the depth that they do have from the starting lineup for the next game?
No, yeah, definitely. You know, we saw that chance towards the end of the first half where, just basically pass to the goalkeeper. And even in the second half, he did a great job to put pressure on the, Serbian defense and win the ball in a fantastic position. But again, another poor shot, he could have, easily had a brace. Even before this game, I would have preferred, if I was a manager, to put, Rodrigo. I think Rodrigo's a better player than him. I think Rodrigo, fits the team better. So yeah, I think he could definitely, look to, maybe start a Rodrigo, maybe Anthony, but I'd rather, Rodrigo start or Rafinha next game. Or, it's not, maybe miss his chances, but it's not a deciding factor in this game. So maybe Chiche, won't want to ruin any confidence that Rafinha may or might not have, and he might just go with the same lineup.
Yeah, Coach Rademacher, there was a spirited discussion just before we came on here between yourself and Coach Price about that depth that Brazil has. And you were mentioning, I think, an angle that most people weren't probably looking at, because you were saying that there is the possibility that given the abundance of talent they do have, some players may start to become a little bit displeased on the bench.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it looks like inside the dressing room at Brazil, but I do know that when it comes to a high level, especially with so many great players in your room, it's more about managing the dressing room than really coaching the players. And the more personalities, or the big personalities you have, the more difficult that task is to manage that. So you're going to look at, yes, you want to bring 26 great players, but I don't want to bring 26 forwards if those are my 26 best. I need to have a right balance between defenders, midfielders, forwards, and...
Do they have that right balance, the Brazil team, you think?
I think when you look at it, but it's probably based on quality, they have 1 or 2 forwards, I think too many, that they can add to an extra defender or midfielder. But when you look at their defense and midfield, they're pretty solid there as well. So I think that maybe make him say, well, then I'm going to take an extra forward. We saw Deschamps at France say, well, I don't need an extra forward. I'm good with this lineup. So, I just question that sometimes, do you want to have world-class players get a 5 minutes or a 10 minutes? I mean, we saw Ronaldo when he got 2 minutes, what that led to. So, I wonder these things. But as I say, I don't know what it looks like inside the dressing room, but it could be a risk once you start losing a point or drawing a game. But as long as you keep winning, as Brazil did today, I think everybody's in a celebratory mood, and, especially when 5 subs get that playing time. Yeah,
Sharona, do they have that right balance?
Well, the coach knows best, and I think at this level, we're going to win. So if I'm, well, I can speak for myself. I went into my squad as a midfielder, and I ended up being a centre-back playing an average of 70 minutes. So you never know.
Yeah, and I think we saw that from Spain, Coach Price, as well, with Rodri playing centre-half, because, their coach obviously thought that was the best thing to do. We know for Man City, he plays in this centre of midfield. So I think it goes back to a point you were making off air as well, that sometimes when you're a player for the national team at the World Cup, the biggest stage in the world, you slot in anywhere the coach wants you.
Correct. You have to play that role that you're given. And, one thing I can say, and I'm just looking from an outside and looking on, I believe that the Brazilian dressing room, there isn't a problem there. Everybody seems to be very supportive. I think they're even more supportive of Neymar because they know the level of pressure that he's under, and they want to do well for him and for the coach. So, while everybody wants to get an opportunity, they are world-class players, and they have to understand they have to be patient, bide their time, and when they get the opportunity, make the best use of it.
Yeah. But let me add to that. I am Chiche by no comparison, I'm not. But if I should get into his head, if I'm going to choose a team, 26, I'm going to bring that extra striker. I'm going to overload on that end of the team, because you can't teach what those guys do. Whilst you can just say, okay, I'm going to put Coach Rademacher in the back, you tackle, you jump, you head, and play the ball out. And that's easy to be done. So I would agree where you're seeing him bring an extra striker or extra two striker or overload on that end of the field. I would do that.
I think personality is a part of it as well. So, for example, you have an Anthony who might be more okay with sitting on the bench, and maybe a Firmino who feels, my resume speaks for it. But I agree with what you're saying. As a forward, it's more likely to add that little extra special magic, so might as well bring an extra forward.
And injuries come on that end of the field more than the center.
But the question is, Coach Thomas, which do you prefer? And I think we'll probably talk a little bit more about this later on as well. We talked about the pressure on Messi. Coach Price talked about it. The pressure on Brazil and Neymar. The pressure on Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal. As a coach, do you prefer a dressing room filled with these top quality players who may bring ego into it, and you say, well, it's a good problem to have because you have an abundance of talent, or just players who are disciplined, dogged, stick to the task, and listen to anything that the manager says?
A combination.
Balance.
I would rather a combination.
Which one were you, Sean?
But I mean, these guys, they're playing for their countries, so I don't think they're going to bring too much of an ego into the dressing room. They all know what they're expected of. They're representing the people, the fans, the population, everything, their families. So for the club as opposed to the country, it's totally a different bowl of soup.
Yeah.
But I would rather a combination of the both.
That's a nice way of avoiding the question. Coach Coley, because I want to move into the Uruguay versus South Korea contest, but I want to get Coach Coley in on this discussion as well. Coach Coley, you coached Jamaica College. There was that, I guess, plethora of so-called star players in schoolboy terms. How do you manage the egos, the expectations, when guys think that I'm a star, I need to play, but the coach thinks, no, for balance, we need to play this lineup? How do you balance both?
I think you have a lot of data. You have to use the data to drive you. So numbers are very important. That's one of the things that we use. And as a person, you have to be balanced. You have to be fair to all of the players, and they have to trust you. And what teacher did today was the fact that the striker, Richardson, he has scored 2 goals. For some, you could keep him on, let him score the hat-trick. But the team is the most important, and you took him out. And for the World Cup, and since the COVID, you have 5 changes. So this in itself will help, like a Brazilian team when you have so many talents that you could make 5 changes. So I don't think it will be very difficult. The Brazil culture is one of a lot of enjoyment and a family bond. They love to barbecue, and so I don't think having so many stars in his team will be a problem come the World Cup. But you always prefer to have quality players than players without quality.
All right, so Coach Coley there, not avoiding the question like Coach Shavar Thomas. I don't know if my producer is very happy. We're supposed to talk about Switzerland versus Cameroon as well, but Brazil generally takes up a lot of the discussion time. We're going to take our first break, but with the trivia question of the day. The 2026 World Cup will be the biggest ever in terms of number of teams involved. 48 teams will be participating. The question is, how many nations will host? So the 2026 World Cup, how many nations will host that World Cup? Call us with your answer at 876-733-2461 to 6. 876-733-2461 to 6. How many teams will be hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup? Let's take a break now on Final Whistle. Stay with us. Lots more to discuss after this.
Fool! You just get what? But you hungry, man. Me are the king of this. Like how what are the king of burgers. You see when Burger King goes so boom, and they make the beef patty well seasoned up and put it on the open flame, then them go so juicy pickles, tomatoes, freshly cut onions, crispy lettuce, classic. Every other burger still stuck at square one.
Bean!
3 juicy whopper, right on time.
Taste rules your way at Burger King, the best tasting burgers under the sun.
Grace Food's got the taste that moves you. Yard and abroad, it moves you. Grace Food.
goes. The taste that moves you. Feel the vibes and the time when the dear grace foods from the ends. Yeah, the taste that moves you. From the spices move you. Everybody shout out grace. When the food sweet, we dance. When the vibe nice, we love. Yeah. The taste that moves you. Grace bringing the food you love.
Grace has a taste that everyone loves. That's why when we move with Grace.
The Gleaner Premium will excite your digital media experience, satisfy your appetite for exclusive stories and special access to editors' fora, videos, podcasts, and much more. To subscribe, go to jamaica-gleaner.com/premium and select the e-Gleaner or website option. Welcome to your new digital experience, the Gleaner Premium.
Prices start as low as US $2.99. Sign up today and keep up with the Gleaners A-Team.
Black Friday Frenzy at the following participating stores island-wide: Blake's Sports Bar, Creep in Closet, SMCC Express, Mobile Treasures, Clamar's Holistic, Bodyscape, ProCare, Classy Chicness, The Pearls Hair Supply, My Cart Express, Solid Appliance, and more. Imperial Optical. Black Friday Frenzy is presented by the Archer Gleaner Communications Group in partnership with Multilink.
Welcome back now to a final whistle. Let's continue our discussion. Of course, I'm your host, Jordan Fort. With me, lots of coaches. We've got Radamacher's coach Eric Radamacher. Sharona Forrester is here with us, Coach Andrew Price, Coach Shavar Thomas. We also have Coach Miguel Coley on Zoom and Liam Enriquez as well, who is the young genius. All right, let's get to the Switzerland versus Cameroon discussion now. Let me start with you, Coach Price. Switzerland winning that one by 1-0. Interestingly, the player who scored for Switzerland, Cameroon-born, didn't want to celebrate, Mbolo, but getting the job done for the Swiss. But analyze that game for me.
Well, I think it was a very tedious game. You know, no team wanted to give any barriers. The first half, there were no shots on target for the entire first half. Teams were just, keeping their shape, not wanting to take any risk. And you're going to see this in first round World Cup games where teams don't want to go out there and expose themselves too early, and they want to sit back and see how the game plays out. I think in the second half, the game really turned up a notch. And I think that Switzerland started to take the game to Cameroon, and Cameroon started to reply. And it went back and forth, and it was a very open game within the second half. And luckily for Switzerland, they were able to get a goal, and they kept it until the end of the game. But I think the two teams played well. I was surprised at the performance of the Cameroon, a very mature performance, and they must be counting their bad luck because they really had an opportunity to get something out of the game.
Yeah, it also changes the complexion of the group, Coach Thomas, because, the first game is going to be very important. You only play 3 games in the group stages. Cameroon now behind the 8 ball, so to speak. But what did you see from both teams in this contest?
For me, I saw a Cameroon team that's, their front line is, potent. They're getting in the box. It was a situation where it would be what team took their chances or turned their half chances into goals. And it just happened that Sweden did that, but it was evenly contested, and none of the teams should feel hard done, especially Cameroon. They have 2 more games.
Yeah, they go into their next game against Serbia, the Cameroonians, which means, of course, that Switzerland will have to play the Brazilians. So important 3 points for Switzerland, Sharona. How do they capitalize on this now?
Well, you always want that 3 points. It's 3 out of 9, 6 left to go. And, we keep saying it, 4 points can get you out. So you want to continue on that path. There's a reason why it's now 3 points and not 2. It's who is brave enough to try to get that win. That's why we're giving you an extra point, because it was 1 and 2. So I would think going against Brazil, they should take from every one of the underdogs to say you need to be cautious, but also try to have persons at the top when it's time. Because a lot of the teams, when you sit back too far, you realize that you're going forward and there's 2 persons, and 2 against 4 at this level. You're just wishing for a goal at that point.
Yeah, Liam, A lot made of the Swiss team because of the names that they do have. Of course, the likes of Manuel Akanji, who plays for Manchester City. Of course, Granit Xhaka been having an outstanding season for Arsenal. Sheridan Shaqiri, these are well-known names. Did they do themselves any justice today, you think, with that scoreline against Cameroon?
No, I think it's a good result for them. This Cameroon team, I think people sleep on it. They might look at recent results. They tied against a B team Jamaica team, but Cameroon were also playing their B team. Both teams are missing a lot of players. And this Cameroon team with the likes of Choupo-Moting, who people tend to laugh at, but he's actually having a very good season in Bournemouth too for Brentford. So, and could keep it on that. So they have good players and they are a good team. I think people sleep on them a lot. And a good, resounding 1-0 win for Switzerland. Their preparations weren't great, and no, Switzerland, they must be happy with this victory.
Yeah, Coach Coley, how much do you put on the scoreline itself when you look at a result like this as a coach? Because as we said, you look at the names on paper, you would think undoubtedly that Switzerland has the bigger names, have the bigger reputation, but they came away with a 1-0 win. Sometimes that result can be a little bit deceptive. But how much do you place on it if you're the coach of Switzerland looking towards the next games in this World Cup?
No, if I'm the coach, I'll be very happy. You first match 3 points. And the goal that they scored, you could see that they were working it. Every time they were trying to play behind the blind side of the number 6 of Cameroon, and one moment they got the chance and they overload the right side, and the cross came in, and the big striker he made goal. What I was disappointed in was the second half of Cameroon. I believe that in the first half they had some direction. What they wanted to do, play the ball to Chopo, and he keeps the ball, and you have players running behind. That was very good, especially on the counter. In the second half, I thought they lost, the whole direction and the plot of what they wanted to do. And every time they made a change, they got weaker and weaker. In terms of going forward, I think Cameroon has to look at how they play the midfield. I think they play in the same height. The 2 number 8s are every time in the same height. What they need to do is every time one number 8 drops, the next one needs to be closer to the striker. So the striker can play immediately to a number 10 player in that era. So I think they need to look on the game, look at the matrices and see what they can adjust. But I think that is something that they need to tweak.
Yeah, Uruguay and South Korea playing out a 0-0 draw. Coach Rademacher, we've seen a number of teams play to a 0-0 draw so far in this tournament. I think Coach Price spoke about the fact that, it's a World Cup, it's an important tournament. Teams come in not necessarily wanting to give too much up. But I guess you can't help but think Uruguay, with the reputation they have, with the players they have at their disposal, should they feel a little bit disappointed about a 0-0 result against South Korea?
Yeah, I would say so. I think even looking at the game, I think it was a similar game plan for them. Let's try to make sure we break them down. We stick to our game plan. We don't really panic. We keep moving the ball and hoping to find these gaps to break them down. And as you can see from the end result, at 0-0, they were not really able to do that. I do think that I think Nunez was missing a little sharpness. A few times he got in a position and maybe reached like a half a second too late, or the touch not really great. But I think that was in that game in general. The final third, the final touch was a little lacking, even on Korea's side, to really make something out of the chances. So I think it was a justified draw. But I think Uruguay will look at themselves and say, boy, I wish we did a little more on that. You mentioned Darwin Nunez lacking that sharpness. His strike partner up front starting today, Luis Suarez, who is, we know, in sports parlance, we like to say on the other side of 30 or on the wrong side of 30, not necessarily at his best anymore. Does that have a role to play? Because you look at the Uruguayan team and they're not the youngest in terms of who their core players are. Regarding the sharpness, I know Suarez from when he was young. He started playing in Netherlands when he was 18, 19. I remember there was a cup match and they were up 13-0. It's one of the first rounds of playing for Ajax. And he was running down the field, chasing down. Suarez has a hunger for goals that I think is really unmatched for most persons.
But does he still have it, is the question?
I think he has that, and he brings that. But the sharpness is something that is details, a little moment here, a little goal or touch that you get over there. And I think that was lacking there a little today.
Yeah, 8 shots on target for Uruguay, 5 for South Korea. The possession stats in favor of the Uruguayans, but not heavily in favor. 56% possession for Uruguay and 44% for South Korea. Shavar, how do you assess this contest, and who should be the happier of the two, given it was an all draw?
I think Uruguay should be happy. And if you look at the past games so far, the Asian teams, as we have collectively said, the Asian teams and a couple of the Middle East teams, they defensively, they are really, really solid. Their defensive shape is, second to none. And it's about them staying solid and getting that goal late or whenever time they get it during the game to get wins and get results.
Federico Valverde is a big name for Uruguay, Coach Price. He's been lighting it up for Real Madrid. But as I mentioned, not the same kind of quality around him in this Uruguayan setup. Should they be disappointed in not getting all 3 points here?
Yes, they will be disappointed, but I'm sure they're more importantly didn't lose the game, and that would have set them even further back. I think that they got some opportunities and they didn't convert. Valverde took a scorcher of a shot that hit the post very late in the game. I think they dominated for most parts. But, when you play teams like South Korea that are very good defensively, keep a good shape and are very disciplined, it's going to be very hard to break them down. I saw a lot more openings in the second half when Cavani came on the field. He did a lot more movement than Suarez. And, going back to what you said about Suarez, I believe at this point in time, maybe Cavani should start taking that lead role with Núñez up front instead of Suarez, because his movement when he came on the pitch was second to none. Things looked very busy inside the South Korean penalty box when he was there. So it's something that the coach needs to look at for the next game.
Liam, do you agree with that? Cavani in for Suarez maybe for the next game?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, maybe. Suarez playing kind of in a retirement league for him, so to speak, as Kawhi still playing at the highest level. So yeah, maybe they could rotate. They're both, like you said, back in their career. I just want to speak on the fact that I don't think Uruguay will be happy with this result, based on the fact that Portugal are now going to look to top this group after their win, and Ghana, though they lost today, were not looking that bad, and then they were looking pretty good. And South Korea again showed they weren't that bad either. So I think this is turning into another group where it's going to be, that second spot is going to be tough. I think Portugal will take the first, number one. But, Uruguay, I do not think we'll be happy with this draw. I think it won't, it's not going to be straightforward for them.
Yeah, that always is important in these tournaments. The complexion of the group changes, as you mentioned, Portugal getting all 3 points against Ghana. And though Ghana lost, they got 2 goals against the Portuguese. We're going to talk about that game, of course, a little later on, but that does change things slightly. Coach Coley, changes you think for this Uruguayan team? Coach Price has suggested Edinson Cavani has made more of a difference than Luis Suarez. Would you make any changes if you were the Uruguayan coach?
One thing I would probably change, and Uruguay is known over the years as a 4-4-2 team, and in this game they started the game with a 4-3-3. With Núñez mostly occupied on the left side. Núñez is more, you need him in front of goal. So when Cavani came in, you realize that they played more a front two, and they could, keep the ball in front a little bit more. They could start play it back and get in that third man run behind the defense. And I think that kind of opened up the game for them. So it's up to the coach now how he plays on the team. Normally, Rondon is normally the player that comes inside a little bit inverted when they play a 4-4-2. So it's about if he goes back to the 4-3-3 or he uses the firepower that he has in 2 strikers.
Yeah, Coach Rademacher wants to ask you a quick question, Coach Coley. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, what you thought of Valverde role? I know we spoke about it yesterday and kind of like as an inside, but as you mentioned, they started with the 4-3-3. What you thought of Valverde role in there, Miguel?
Well, I think you need him a little bit more advanced, especially with his role at Real Madrid and how he's been getting the goal and assisting. I think the coach needs to put him in a more advanced role to play. But also you have to look at Godin, the defense. It allowed him to play Valverde to be a little bit deeper, because if you notice, every time when Uruguay is attacking, Godin is very, very deep, and it is creating a lot of problems with the team. It opened up a lot of space for South Korea to run in And many times as a midfielder, number 8, you're in between. Do I go up? Do I stay back? And I believe if, Godin, I don't know who will come in for him, but they need to be a little bit more compact, especially in the progression phase.
Yeah, and I like that point, Coach Coley, because we often tend to think of these players in their individual roles and not think of how they play may actually affect the team. You mentioned Godin. That partnership between Godin and Jimenez is an old partnership at the back for Uruguay, so that may very well be creating a ripple effect on the rest of the team. We're going to continue with our analytical discussion of these matches today. But guess what? The Maverick is on the go, and as usual, he's a crazy guy. We have no idea where he is or where he may end up. Let's track him. Let's see if we can find out where the Maverick is. I told you, he's crazy. He's gone too far. He's gone outside of all our signals, and we can't track the Maverick down. Hopefully he's somewhere safe. He's probably in a sea of Brazil fans right now, knowing the Maverick. We're going to continue to try to track him down. But I want to build on that point that Coach Coley made just before we tried to link up with the Maverick, Coach Thomas, because as I said, sometimes you look at the defense and think of them only as the defense, and then the midfield, and then the forwards. But we're not looking necessarily at them as a unit and how what one aspect of the team does affects the other aspect of the team. That's why I mentioned maybe Suarez affecting Darwin Núñez, who's been quite sharp for Liverpool, not looking the same way for Uruguay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of your performance has to do with the guys to your left, guy to your right, guy behind you, and the one in front of you. So for you to have a good game, a lot of times those guys have to have a good game or a subpar game, and we all feed off each other. It's the relationship, it's the harmony, and that's why these guys are the big players and get chosen to be at the World Cup.
Yeah. Coach Rademacher's Facundo Pelestri is one of the bright young prospects for Uruguay. What did you think of him today? I think he had some moments in that.
Yeah, he had some moments. I do think that maybe he was roaming sometimes too much inside. And if they would kept the width a little bit more or wide, they were able to now use the central players more without having really clogged up in the middle over there. But he's a nice player. I was surprised to see him in the starting lineup. But it's always great to see when you have a group with Cavani, Suarez, these older players, that you have new generation coming up while there's a tournament going on. So they get that experience. So looking forward to see more of him. As I say, he had some bright moments, but you always look at the youngsters to get some more consistency and actually, get the assist, get a goal, penetrate in the box, and I think he can do a little bit more of that.
Yeah, lots more discussion to come. Of course, that Portugal-Ghana game as well is one we have to break down. Let's take a break now on Final Whistle. Stay with us. Lots more after this.
Join the rhythm, enjoy the flavor, the taste that you savor. Share with your friend and your neighbor. We're made in Jamaica. Join the rhythm, enjoy the flavor, the taste that you savor. Share with your friend and your neighbor. We're made in Jamaica.
Grace Tropical Rhythms. Join the rhythm.
Black Friday Frenzy at the following participating stores island-wide: Optical Solutions, BJ's Travel, Angie's Bridal and Home, San Lorenzo Distributors, Lasco Paints, Tropical Battery, Dunn's Electrical, Tal City and Home Center, Destiny Furniture and Appliance, Carby's Discount. Black Friday Frenzy is presented by the Archer Gleaner Communications Group in partnership with Multilink.
The Gleaner wants you to unfold our pages in a new way. Download the eGleaner app for quick and convenient access to daily exclusive news at your fingertips. Get it now in the App Store or the Google Play Store. Search eCleaner. Click download, then sign in or register via jamaica-cleaner.com/premium to activate. Take control of your daily read. Download the eCleaner app today.
Have it. Live. Days, weeks, months, and years. It's never too late. It's all in one spot.
Hey folks, good morning and welcome.
In food, drop in hype food on, make we see what we're going.
Live streaming from all brands, thousands of hours of video on demand. Discover the island's best by downloading the app or typing onespotmedia.com.
Dear TVJ. Hello, TVJ family. I need your help with my son. I wish for a stove for my sick mother. Please assist my mother with her medical bills.
Every year you write asking for our help, and we do our best to make your Christmas brighter. 'Tis the season to give back to those who need a helping hand. Write a letter with your wishes addressed to TVJ Christmas Wishlist at 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, or email us at tvjwishlist@televisionjamaica.com. Tell us how we can make you smile this Christmas.
Welcome back now to Final Whistle. I'm your host, Jordan Fort. We've got Eric Rademacher, Sherwood Forrest, Coach Andrew Price, Shavar Thomas, Liam Enriquez, and Coach Miguel Coley are on Zoom. We're continuing with our breakdown of Day 5 of the FIFA World Cup. But today, we want to look at Portugal versus Ghana. Portugal winning that contest by 3-2. An important piece of history for Cristiano Ronaldo, Coach Thomas, scoring in his 5th World Cup, becoming the first player to score in 5 World Cups. Scoring from the penalty spot, I think there was a bit of discussion about whether or not that should have been a penalty. So let's start there, because I think that was where the contention was, and that got Portugal off the mark.
Yeah, I think the penalty was a little bit too soft. But, I mean, it's Cristiano. He's not going to miss. It's a big moment. He wants it on his shoulders, and he did remarkably well. But if you look at the game, though, I think a key moment in the game, again, like yesterday in the Germany game, I think the coach made a sub too early, 2 subs too early, and it changed the complexion of the game for Ghana. You know, I'm not saying he shouldn't have taken them off, but it was too early. They just got a goal back, level the game 1-1. I say give the players 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes to see how it goes, and then you can play your cards after that. But I think he made it too early, and he changed the complexion of the game.
Yeah, before we get to the full breakdown, Coach Price, what do you think of that penalty call?
You know, in real time, the referee was very close to the action, and he was very deliberate. As the tackle took place, he pointed to the penalty spot. We have the luxury at home to see the 12 different replays and 12 different angles from which the tackle took place, and it seemed that the player actually played the ball before he caught Ronaldo's feet. But like I said,
wrong angle you watch.
Exactly. It depends on the angle that you watch. So, you know, real time, it happens very fast, and referees have to make a decision. And as you notice, they didn't even go to VAR. So, VAR actually agreed with the referee that the decision was right, and Ronaldo was able to score in his 5th World Cup.
You know what's fascinating? Talk to Coach Price after Humble Lion have been had a penalty given against them like that, and you get a completely different outlook.
Shoes on the other foot.
You see how calm he is, and balanced and level-headed, even giving credit to the referee. You know, coaches don't do that after games. Coach Rademacher, what were your thoughts? Did you think?
No, when I first saw it, robbery, I showed it. Robbery it is. You know, I do think that the goal that was kind of disallowed for the fall, for the push in before from Ronaldo, I thought that was a fair, strong challenge, and that should have been a goal in the first half. But
so you thought the referee was probably making up for that call?
Well, I just wonder, because you get your halftime, most likely they get confronted with the mistakes that they made, because they want to get that short feedback. And maybe it's a part of it, giving it easier, but as I say, I initially said robbery this is crazy, no penalty for sure, but thing is, like the 4th or 5th replay from a different angle, you really see in super slow motion that I think Ronaldo touched the ball first, and then the defender touches the foot. And I was a little surprised they didn't go to VR for the referee to kind of confirm that himself. But maybe they saw it, and they were right to say we don't need to intervene in this one.
I always say if you slow it down enough and watch it enough, they'll always look like a
I figured there were some people from Qatar in the VR room saying you cannot call. You know, it's in the beginning I was like, no, this is wrong. But I think they got it right again. I think the referees have been pretty on point so far this World Cup.
Sharona, your thoughts?
Well, for me, I think that particular referee was like a no-nonsense person. If you went down for a little push in the back, he was like, play on, play on. And I think if you're a defender and you're defending your goal, you're not going to go down that easily. So I felt that as though that was a cumulative call. He hit the person, Ronaldo fell, he's at penalty. So I felt like he was like making up. So I do agree somewhat with that. Like it could be a cumulative call.
Yeah,
like I'm not going to VAR. It's about time I gave them something now because I've allowed so much.
Yeah, and maybe he really did feel that when Ronaldo had the ball in the back of the net, that he should not have ruled that out for a foul. Coach Coley, what were your thoughts on that? Coach Coley, are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on the penalty that Ronaldo was given?
Unacceptable. Immediately, VAR should have called the referee and tell him it's not a penalty, or tell him to come and look and make a decision, because it wasn't a penalty.
They have to show the super slow motion to you. There was one angle, Miguel, I tell you, it will change your mind. Look it up later on. I agree with him fully, but there was one angle. But go on, sorry.
The fact that the defender, he played the ball last, I think, I won't say it's a soft call, it's just not a penalty. And I think that that change in the nature of the game, it allowed the Ghanaian team to open up a little bit more. And the strategy from the Portugal coach could be implemented, in which he had a lot of players playing in the half space or in between the lines of the midfield and the Ghanaian defense. So I think that changed the complexion of the game. But what can I do? Ronaldo score?
Nothing. That's the answer. Liam, what were your thoughts? And having given your thoughts on the Ronaldo penalty, what did you think of the way the Ghanaian team played after they drew level through Ayew after Ronaldo scored that penalty as well?
Oh yeah, I agree with Miguel. Sorry, it's definitely not a penalty. In terms of the referee, we don't really like cumulative calls in football, but what I do think happened is that the ref was under a lot of pressure after making some shocking calls towards Portugal in the first half. So I don't think he was obviously giving them hey, I'll finally give some. It's more of he was under pressure and doesn't want the negative feedback to give the penalty. And in terms of the way the Ghana came back, we saw Ayew goal, and they just, 1-1 and then 2 goals in the space of a minute. Shocking from them. As a professional team in the World Cup, you should not have a scoring a goal, have them just run on the field and score 2 goals quick like that. I feel like that would frustrate the coach a lot. And then they scored back, and even though they were still losing, their player proceeded to go and do the Ronaldo celebration, which I thought was pretty funny. And even they almost got to 3-3 when the Portugal keeper laid it down, and it was pretty sure it was Inaki Williams going for it, and he slipped. But like I said, Ghana have a lot to be proud of. They definitely could have got something out of this game, but they played well. And, next game they play the same way, but maybe just game, like I said earlier, game management a bit better. And Ghana played well, but still, I feel like they feel a bit hard done by, not hard by in terms of the score, but they feel like kicking themselves on the way that they never got the point out of that.
Indeed, I think Inaki Williams kicking himself still at the moment, even though he should probably be in bed by now based on the time it is in Qatar. Let's take a quick break on Final Whistle. When we come back, we've got more discussion for you. Stay with us.
Graceful's got the taste that moves you. Yard and abroad, it moves you. Graceful's, the taste that moves you. Feel the vibes and the time when the day Graceful's on the end. Yeah, the taste that moves you. From the spices move you. Everybody shout out Grace. When the food sweet, we dance. When the vibe nice, we love. Yeah.
Grace has the taste that everyone loves. That's why when we move with Grace.
Fool! You just get what? But you hungry, man. They're the king of this. Like how what are the king of burgers. You see when Burger King goes so boom, and they make the beef patty well seasoned up and put it on the open flame, then them go so juicy pickles, tomatoes, freshly cut onions, crispy lettuce, classic. Every other burger still stuck at square one.
Babe!
3 juicy whopper, right on time.
Taste rules your way at Burger King. The best tasting burgers under the...
Welcome back now to Final Whistle. I think, even though he's a crazy guy, I think that we may have just tracked down the Maverick. I think we moved him back, lady and gentlemen, into where our signal picks up. So the Maverick is on the go. Where is he? I don't know. And that's an honest answer. I don't know. So let's find out where the Maverick is.
Hey, the Maverick is on the go. And guess what? Brazil won. So the Maverick, nice. All right, here where the breeze blow the Maverick now. The breeze blow the Maverick up to a place where them call Reggae Fountain. Yeah, it's there 1 Latham Avenue. When we look across the road, there's some look for what that? The Long Mountain, them say. When we do some people on the corner there, me see the light them over National Stadium. Yeah, the place named Reggae Fountain. We're up on a nice balcony. Yeah, the nice breeze is good. And guess what? Me running an upper Reggae Fountain. Brazil nation. Brazil, you don't believe me? Come and show the one. Look on the Brazil fan, people. Look on the fan. Look on the slippers there, man. You see the slippers? Brazil, right on the man slippers. What, is a crack start? Yeah. Look on the man flag, a Brazil flag, a grow out of the man knapsack. Yeah. Look on the man bracelet. Look on the bracelet. Look on the bracelet, man. Look on the watch. You think of that? Look what we find. The man take out him grandmother pot cover and in at the stadium. Bruh, the man said, bro, what? Me not have to tell you what the man said. DJ Ray, what you say?
2 knock and a 2 love on him drop.
Not more than that. I know that. The surprise is not done yet, you know. Follow the Maverick down the line. Follow the Maverick down the line. Look who me track down and find when you follow the Maverick down the line. Look who we got here. You recognize that face? That's the chairperson of women's football at the JFF, Madam Elaine Walker-Brown. How are you, madam?
I'm fine.
All right, so we were all here watching the Brazil game. Tense until we broke the deadlock. But if people ever see Elaine Walker-Brown jump, you don't think I jump, you know. How it feel for finally Brazil get off the mark after all of the pressure and the bad mind from the Argentina fans and the German fans? How it feel?
Great. No surprise anyhow. No surprise.
All right, Elaine, I remember a little while back I saw you in one of those official boxes sitting beside the current FIFA president, Mr. Gianni Infantino. What are you doing in Jamaica and the World Cup are going over Qatar?
No, man, I'm preparing for Australia, New Zealand next year.
Oh, you're going with the ladies?
Yes, definitely.
All right, how the Qatar World Cup looks so far to you, though?
Great. This is just the beginning, as you see the display that Brazil make. So there's greater things to come.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Elaine Walker-Brown. And it gets bigger and better. Look what we find. When I say literally bigger, is Mr. Raymond Anderson, the Senior Vice President of the Jamaica Football Federation. Mr. Anderson, sir, also a Brazilian like the rest of us. What go on?
Brazil will say, man, all the way, Brazil, all the way.
You didn't look kind of nervous a while ago still, you know?
No, well, if you back a team and you see the team play well, and you know the football, if you don't score, someone will score you. Yeah. So I was worried.
Yeah, but the nerve settles. How we look, though? How we look in terms of going forward from here? This is the first game, the jitters out. How it look?
Well, it looked good for me because from ever, I was here yesterday, and I told them that Brazil all the way, and might be a club, another country. Yeah. I say France still. Yeah. Them are the world, them are the finalists. Yeah, and they're current champions, but of them I say finalists.
What is happening with Mr. Raymond Anderson these days in terms of football administration? And still harboring any thoughts of going for that highest office in the land? You know, me have to squeeze that one day, Mr. Anderson, man. You know?
No, well, for football now, I serve the sport, you know. I serve the sport well. Yeah. And I'm a vice president, and as far as I'm concerned, no, there's no room for that. It's just to really develop the sport and support the president.
And Reggae Fountain is Brazil central. And in fact, it's World Cup central. It's not just Brazil. When you look around, you see flags from all the various, well, almost all the major teams. That's your England flag over there, so that look like a France flag over there, so that look like Portugal over there, so. And see the Reggae Fountain boss over there so on the phone. Him are wear the Brazil colors will represent Brazil. So this is, we're at the Reggae Fountain. Mr. Anderson, any parting shots for the Brazil fans out here in Radio Land? TV Land, sorry.
TV Land, don't give up, man, because Brazil all the way, wear your yellow and celebrate. And right here, Reggae Fountain, Brazil we say.
Brazil we say, you heard that. The Maverick is on the go. We say, Reggae Fountain, we're up on the rooftop, you know. We're up on the rooftop. And you hear Jordan say the Maverick, man, a while ago. The Maverick are on the go, and we're going to jump off of the rooftop right now. Watch it, watch it, watch it.
Kids, do not try that at home. I just wondered, though, as I said before we got to the Maverick, that he's probably in a sea of Brazil fans. Is it a coincidence that you go into a bar and everybody's in a Brazil fan? How does that work? I think the Maverick may have organized that one himself. We're almost out of time on the final whistle, but we want to take a quick glance at what is to come tomorrow. So we've seen everybody play now at the World Cup. So we start over again tomorrow, so to speak. The second round of games are going to start, not the second round, not the round of 16, but teams are going to start playing their second match. Wales will take on Iran at 5 in the morning. Qatar will play Senegal, the hosts, back in action at 8 in the morning tomorrow. The Netherlands versus Ecuador, and England versus the United States. Shall I get predictions? I think so. Let me start with Coach Andrew Price. Looking ahead to those games, Coach, how do you see all four going?
Well, I think that Wales will definitely have to beat Iran tomorrow. For Qatar and Senegal, I think Senegal will definitely want to keep their hopes alive, so they'll definitely go for the win against Qatar. Netherlands, I have Netherlands to beat Ecuador. And I think the big game tomorrow is actually England versus the United States. So that's one at 2 p.m. And I believe that United States could win for a tough day.
Interesting. Shavar?
All right, let me start with the U.S. I would love for them to get a tie. It would be a good tie for them and going into the final game. Obviously, Netherlands, Ecuador, Netherlands is going to be the victors there. Senegal, Qatar, Senegal will definitely win. And Wales will put themselves in a good position beating Iran.
Sharona?
That's right. Wales, Senegal, Netherlands, and England. I think USA, they're not giving us a full 90 plus, and that's just not good enough right now. So we'll see. It's going to be a tight one, but I have to go with England on this one.
That would be 2 for England after a resounding 6-2 win over Iran in their first game. Coach Rademacher, is it as straightforward as our other co-hosts have said?
I mean, I'm happy we all agree that Netherlands is a big favorite. I mean, I do believe we have some games that are a little bit tricky. As you say, England, USA, I think, has more to it than just, when you look at the names and the quality they have on paper. I also realize that England often gets very happy when they perform good and they think they go far. And then something happens, I think, every year, every time, except in '66. So I wonder if it could be that, everybody's very happy about how England performs, how they look, all the subs they came on, they perform good. Oh, Maguire even looks good. So, it's like the party can't finish for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if USA actually has that extra motivation because they got a draw against Wales, where I feel they're going to feel, listen, we cannot lose here today. As I say, a draw good. So I think USA might be in for a surprise against England, even though England a favorite. I have Netherlands, Senegal, and I think maybe Iran can give us a draw tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know about that. We're out of time, though, for today on Final Whistle. Of course, you are going to get to watch all the action and then come and see us here on the post-game show tomorrow as we break it all down as the World Cup intensifies. Thank you so much to Coach Rademacher, Sharona Forrester, Coach Andrew Price, Shavar Thomas, Coach Miguel Coley, and Liam Enriquez on Zoom. Thank you so much to our production team led by Yannick Jones. And thanks to you, the viewers, Back with you tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, I'm Jordan Fort. Bye-bye for now.
Final Whistle is brought to you by...
Get 25% off a 7 or 28-day Prime Router bundle in the My Digicel app today. Enter to pick and win with Digicel this Christmas.
Nothing moves your vibe, your mood, or your appetite like the taste of grace.
Pepsi.
Fool! You just get what? But you hungry, man. You're the king of this. Like how what are the king of burgers.
Taste rules your way at Burger King, the best tasting burgers under the sun.
Up next, the Supreme Ventures Lottery Draw.
Welcome to the official live drawing of the Supreme Ventures Lottery Games. This could be your lucky day. Get your tickets out and let the games begin.
Good afternoon. It's Thursday, November 24, 2022. I'm Taiba. Welcome to the Supreme Ventures Drive Time Live Game Draw. Now, before we begin, here's a quick look at our 1 p.m. as well as the 3 p.m. winning numbers. Remember now that all Supreme Ventures live games are being supervised by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission and observed by the independent auditing firm PwC. Now let's put some money in your top draw for $600,000. Here are your winning numbers. Good luck. First up for top draw this afternoon, we have the number 9 and then we have the number 18. Your third winning top draw number is 3. Now after 3, what's it gonna be? 15. Just in case you have plans for the jackpot, you're gonna need 22. And now, let's pick a play with our dollars game. I hope you're feeling lucky. The winning numbers are coming your